Well, Kolkata get over the line somehow. Could have happened about 15 minutes ago, but they just sort of crawled their way. It's almost as if they were at the finish line, they were sprinting towards it, and they decided that no, let's just walk, let's crawl. It's all right, let's enjoy the scenery while we're at it. There you see it, 18.2 overs, and for the longest part, it looked they could have finished it in about 16 after the assault from Sunil Narayan. 21 of 10, what he typically does up the order. Nitish Rana was solid. They needed one player to play that innings, and it was Nitish Rana. 36 not out of 27 deliveries. Avesh Khan's 3 for 13 doesn't really illustrate much other than he picked up a few free wickets when they decided to go from the sprint to the walk. But it was the spinners who put a stranglehold early, but there were just too few runs on the board for Delhi to defend. Here we are on Cricbuzz Live, brought to you in association with our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle. I'm Gautam Bhimani in the company of Lisa Sthalekar and Joy Bhattacharjya. Not too much to read into that game from Delhi's perspective. It's the hiccup that maybe they would have wanted at some point in time, but Kolkata needed the win and they needed the points. And this second half of the tournament is exactly the way they would have wanted it.
Yeah, really important victory for them. They keep in the hunt, don't they, to stay close with the top four. And the only thing that was probably missing from Delhi, because I actually thought that they bowled well, apart from, Lalit's over that went for 20. Rabada was left, till after 10 overs, a lot of cutters into the pitch, and that they were able to keep getting regular wickets. But you're right. Sunil Narayan, his little cameo as usual, just causes a few headaches. But Delhi weren't that far off.
Yeah, I must confess, I'm one of those who thinks there's only one place he should bat. This is one of those rare times we've seen a typical 21 of 10 ball innings, Joy, when he's not up the order.
Absolutely. And I think he did it also because in this pitch, Rabada couldn't go flat out and bowl to him here. It's just not the kind of pitch because the ball it's so slow that it will just sit up there. So once he knew that Rabada is not going to attack him around the head area, he felt a bit more free to go after it. But the paradoxical one is, of course, bowling Lalit Yadav in that 14th over, because that's a big, big call. I think they didn't bowl Akshar Patel because there was a left-hander there and they decided that they didn't want to go bowl to the left-hand Nitish Rana. But they had Nokia, they had other options. A spinner who's really a part-time. And remember, Lalit Yadav had got a wicket, but Lalit Yadav, even in the first over, had given a couple of complete freebies, out of which one he got away with, and the next one went for 6, if you remember. So that's the kind of guy you're quoting. He's inexperienced and you've just given it to him, the ball, in a crucial 14th over. I think, whatever happened in the 16th happened, but I think 14th was where the game was effectively killed.
The other thing was, of course, it was that no ball from Rabada that really kicked things off. He was naughty with the overstepping. And after that, it was Narayan who just took full toll of him. So tactically, I think, Lisa, they will need to look at a few of these combinations when it comes to a critical game.
Yeah, and the thing is, Rishabh Pant, it's good for him to be put in these situations. He's got to think on his feet. The coaching staff can give him all of the information, but if the game is going constantly and things are happening fast, whoever can stay cool, calm and collected, which we've seen Mahendra Singh Dhoni, we've seen Owen Morgan, Rohit Sharma, they stay calm under pressure. This is a good learning curve for him to have before he gets to the finals. Though I'm a little bit concerned about that knock on his hand. I think he's actually done a bit of damage to it.
Yeah, well, we'll keep a lookout for that and we'll update you if we do have anything. But Joy, we talked about the whole, when we came on Cricbuzz Combox, we hadn't seen Rabada bowl yet. So among many other tactics, when you have someone of that quality, yes, you've got spin at one end. You could have spin at one end, pace at the other.
Yeah, I think they probably missed a trick by keeping Rabada for so late. But again, hindsight is 20/20 vision. And then that Lalit's 14th over. But the other interesting thing is that with this win, a lot has changed because Kolkata is now 5 and 6. Who are their last 3 games? And again, we'll talk about the fact that there are no easy games in this tournament. But you have Punjab, Hyderabad, and Rajasthan as their last 3 games. And Kolkata will now definitely feel their fate is in their own hands. Of the 4 so-called tough games up front, they've managed to win 3 of them. And that's a big, big victory for them.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, as I said, with no disrespect to any sides, as Joy pointed out, it's not a Chennai. They're playing in a crunch game towards the end. It's not a Bangalore. Whatever else happens, these are the kind of teams who can really come and hit you hard. So they'll be pretty glad with that. They'll be coming back to Sharjah for their very last game. But a quick look at the points table again and see what it's done. Not much affected at the top. Delhi still sit there with 16 points in second place. But Kolkata now jump into that top four. The logjam of 4 teams at 8 is now broken. They get to 10 points. And now it's going to be 2 teams also on 8 who are playing after this in the evening to also try and join them on 10. But they'll probably stay in 5th place because of net run rate.
Yeah, that net run rate is really the key, isn't it? 0.363. And that's what we need to look at, because I have a feeling when it comes to the 4th position, it is going to come down to net run rate. So even, this back end chase, they could have really extended their net run rate if they hadn't have lost the wickets as they did. So those little things you need to keep in mind as we come into the pointy end of the tournament.
So not too many headaches, not too many disappointments. Delhi, yes, a few things to think about tactically, but they're still safely in second place. Kolkata needed the crucial 2 points. They got them. It didn't matter that they walked it in the end. Now a big, big game coming up. 2 teams on 8, desperately looking to get to 10. This is Abu Dhabi, not quite as low and slow as Sharjah has been. Plays the way it's pretty much always played. So the surface is not going to be deceptive. The 2 teams know about it. And let's update you on the terms of the toss. Rohit Sharma has won the toss and asked Punjab to bat first. So that's the news. Joy, let's go straight into the team news, because that is what was being anticipated, being talked about. 2 changes for Mumbai. They've left out Ishan Kishan. And it's a player, when we're talking about that World T20 coming up, or the T20 World Cup, Saurabh Tiwari comes in. Nathan Coulter-Nile replaces Adam Milne.
Coulter-Nile for Mill is understandable, because Milne wasn't looking at his best. So he's had a good 100 before this. He just wasn't looking at his best. They wanted to sort of move it up a bit and, play it around. And I think that's a great change. Big change. Ishan Kishan, an India player, one of the 15 playing for India, not playing. Look, but Mumbai have been known to do this on occasion. It's not that he's going to be dropped for the rest of the tournament. Just drop him for a match. Let him get his head around. Let him just calm down in the dressing room and then come back. And I think that's what they're going to do for him. Somewhere, I think they know that he's just far too anxious. He needs to be dropped, because, see, one of the things that happens to players, and Lisa will tell you much more about this, is they have this anxiety before, am I going to get dropped? Am I going to get dropped? And once it actually happens to you, a lot of that anxiety dissipates. Then when you come in again, the worst thing that you expect that could happen to you has happened to you. And then it's a little bit easier. So sometimes just sitting out for a game really helps players.
It's not the first time it's happened. I think Ishan was out of the team for a bit, came back, played the innings of his life. So maybe it's a good thing for him. And Ishan was talking to Rohit Sharma on the field just after the toss. So obviously a bit of man management needed, Lisa.
Yeah, it's the messaging of how you tell Ishan Kishan that he's taking a break. It's not, you dropped, you're out of form, we're not selecting you, hit the nets, figure it out. It would be, we just want you to have some fun. We need you to just relax, enjoy yourself. We're going to do a fun session, another day where you just get to smack it. Sometimes you just need one of those free sessions where you're not working on something technically. It's in his head, to be honest. I really do feel, I don't think it's anything technically, because in T20 cricket, there's not a lot of technique sometimes that comes down to it. It's just how you're feeling. And if he can get back to that form where he's tapping the bat in the right way, whatever his cue words are, if he can find them again, he will be fine. But you're right, Mumbai tend to do this well. They tend to manage their players well, hence why we have such a huge amount of players from Mumbai playing in the Indian team.
Yeah, and it was not just Mumbai. I think after the previous game, Joy, when RCB prevailed, the first person you saw Virat Kohli go up to was Ishan Kishan, arm round his shoulder. He wasn't in the best frame of mind, probably knew he was going to be dropped for the next game immediately. So I think it's about the India captain Maybe the next India captain, the Mumbai Indians captain, everyone getting together.
Yeah, I've seen this before when Kuldeep was out of form and
Yeah.
Kolkata was playing Mumbai. And then Rohit Sharma immediately went up to him because he knew this guy is really vital to India's plans. And you can't have you cannot have top level talent go down because, if you don't need them for your franchise, you're going to need them for your country. Sooner or later, you're probably also going to play for the same team, given how players move around. So I think that support structure is excellent. And I think also, I think Mahila as a coach, I think it's an excellent coaching unit and the kind of people that they have out there. And Mahila is good, Zahir is good. All are very calm people again. And I think that really helps, because they tend not to be moved by single results or 2-game streaks or 3-game streaks. They'll say, okay, just hold the course. We've got the players. It'll come good.
Another person who hasn't been seen yet for Mumbai, even though he's played one game technically for them, is Hardik Pandya. He came in there, didn't bowl last minute. We were told he's not going to bowl. Didn't come off with the bat. So apart from the bat, we don't have any confirmation, but I suspect Mumbai will want something out of him today with ball in hand.
They need him to bowl. Without him bowling, the balance is actually wrong. Because I hand on my heart, I do not think he can be selected in a T20 side just from a batting perspective. I think you've got better players that slot into that role. So he has to bowl. He has to at least go one over. You've got to try him out at some point. But I guess it's all about workload, slowly building him up. Obviously, the eye to the T20 World Cup. But ideally, he's got to get some overs under his belt before he gets to that tournament.
It's not the first time, Joy, it's happening. Even for India, there was a little talk. He's not going to bowl. Then he did bowl in a game where he wasn't expecting to bowl. And he said, look, Virat just came to me and said, are you okay? And I said, yes. And it ended up being more than one over.
Yeah, look, that's the point of it, is that India really hasn't had that all-rounder. Post Kapil Dev, that definitive all-rounder, they've not had anyone who's really fulfilled that role. And Hardik's come the closest. I mean, if you look at it, Shardul Thakur, a lot of people are talking about him, he's doing well. But look, he's really a bowling all-rounder. I mean, you can't expect him to come and regularly bat at 5 or 6 for you. If Shardul is batting at 5 or 6 for you, that's not going to happen. But Hardik is a batting all-rounder. He can definitely bat at 4, 5, 6. He can give you 4 overs. Sometimes he should definitely be able to give you 2 or 3 overs. So the excitement around him is understandable, given the fact that there are very few such specimens around. And Gautam, you were talking about it before the game, talking about Maxwell, saying that Maxwell's the only guy right now who's bowling 4 overs and also batting at 4 or 5. And that's exactly the problem. There's such a paucity of players like this. There's him, there's Marcus Stoinis. And Stoinis is, I'd say him and Marcus Stoinis are somewhere the same. That both of them, you don't expect to bowl 4 overs, but you need something from them, from the bowling as well.
Certainly do that. On to the opposition, and a quick reminder that in terms of changes that you're seeing, and in the most polite way you can possibly say it, I can get away with this by saying that Mayank Agarwal is a pain in the neck. Actually, he has. He has a pain in the neck. He's got a stiff neck, which is why Mayank Agarwal misses out this game. Mandeep Singh slots in there. There's 2 schools of thought. There's one possibility that we think he might open the batting. We, of course, have put him down the order and we've put Chris Gayle to open. But I just have a sneaking feeling that every time Mandeep has made a comeback into the side, he's been straight up as an opener. We shall find out in a few minutes. But for the moment, Lisa, Mayank Agarwal is the kind of person who can give you an 80 or a 90 or 100. So they will miss him.
Yeah, they will. And the partnership that he's formed with KL at the top is pretty formidable, isn't it? They know each other's game extremely well. They run well between the wickets. They don't even have to call. That's how good their partnership is. So they will miss that. And also, he's great in the field. He's so dynamic. He fields in all of the hot spots. I mean, Mandeep Singh, he's not too bad either. He's no mug in the field. So I think they will just miss the runs perspective, but it does, maybe if Chris Gayle does open, it goes, he's able to play in a position that he loves. So will that unlock what he's capable of doing?
Well, it's interesting because even in the CPL, where he pretty much bosses over everything and tends to have his way, he was not necessarily opening every single game. He did form a partnership with Evan Lewis later on, but there was a situation early on where he was coming at number 3. So what's your call, Joy? Chris Gayle or Mandeep Singh?
I would slot Gale at number three. At opener, because Gale just simply gives you so much out there, and that's where he wants to play. He needs Gale no longer and never was really the kind of player who goes first
No.
ball. So he needs those 4-5 balls to see, check the length and all that before he gets going. You need that to happen as early as possible. Put him down the order and he's coming 15 balls, 20 balls into the innings. The ball is getting a bit softer. You're losing out. If you're playing Gale, you open him. There's this great story about an Indian player where they said that, either if you play him, you make him captain, play him. If you don't keep him in the 11, don't keep him in the dressing room. And I think Gale is that kind of guy. If you give him his head and you say, okay, Chris Gale, you're my universe boss, you're going to play for me, then don't give him a secondary role. He's not built to be a supporting cast. He's built to be a star. So then give him, you say, okay, you open the innings, you go out there, you get the maximum balls, do what you have to.
I can tell you, knowing Chris Gale, he'd probably say that about himself in third person.
Yeah, he would actually say it in the third person as well. But I thought it was a few seasons ago, Mike Hesson, when he was coaching Kings 11 Punjab, when they were called that. He dropped him for the first few games, and you could just see like the little smoke just kind of coming out of his ears. And then when he came back in, he performed for them. So it's about the coaching staff being able to manipulate and get them going at the right time for you.
Yeah, he's quite an enigma. He is the universe boss. But let's quickly remind you, download that My 11 Circle app, because it's not too late to make some changes to your team. Get the app down, get 11 players in. You know who's in, you know who's out. Mayank Agarwal, if you had him in your team, get him out quickly and get in a replacement. Maybe even Mandeep Singh very quickly. 5 crore is the first prize. But while we still have 2 minutes left, and you want some last minute tips, here they are. Our My 11 Circle smart picks for this particular game. And we're going to just run through them very, very quickly. KL Rahul, batting first, always due for a big score. He knows he doesn't have Mayank Agarwal, his good buddy from Bengaluru. So he's going to have to maybe add a few runs on himself. Look what he does against Mumbai. Insane. Absolutely insane. Look for KL Rahul to get a 70 or an 80 today. If he's not in your team, get him in. Maybe make him captain as well. All right, who's our second smart pick of the day? And I'm only rushing through these, Joy and Lisa, because we are short of time. So I'll go to the second one very quickly. Ravi Bishnoi. Once again, if you look at the performance he's come up with, we saw him in the last game. Didn't play too many of the games early on, but once he's got his chance, you know he wants to hang on to it. He makes an impression. He's got that energy. Lisa mentioned about energy in the field with someone like Mayank Agarwal. Well, Ravi Bishnoi brings about 20% extra. He'll take your Superman, Evan Lewis and Fabian Allen type catches whenever you need them. And our final My 11 Circle smart pick is big man, KP, Kyron Pollard. They'll be chasing today. If Mumbai find themselves in a spot of trouble, you know Pollard's the kind of person who can stride out with strike rates in excess of 200 and finish the game off for you. And he does it in situations like this. Remember when Mumbai are in a knockout type situation, big men stand up, there's no one bigger than Kyron Pollard. Well, that's our My 11 Circle smart picks. We have just about time on the show to get in a quick prediction for Punjab batting first. This is not Sharjah. We don't have to be conservative, though we've been losing out by going too high. Joy?
I'm going to go high again because I believe this is a crunch match. 173.
Cool. I was actually going to go 172, so I'm going to go 168.
All right, 168. Can I go higher? Is it possible? Can the universe boss fire? Nah. It's Mumbai's day. It's Mumbai's day. This is the time when they start doing some kind of magic. So 150 even. 150 even. They'll go hard, lose wickets, recover a little bit, and somehow get their way to an average type of total. I could be completely wrong, as I generally am. Thank you, Joy and Lisa. We've squeezed in the review of the previous game. We're looking forward to the second in this terrific Tuesday doubleheader. It's a big game. Somebody needs to get those 2 points. Somebody else will be languishing. That's all we have on Cricbuzz Live, brought to you in association with our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle. We'll see you on Cricbuzz Combox in the 10th over.